You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with David Shockley. David, your middle name is Pudding.
That's right. My middle name is Pudding. And thank you very much for having me on the show, Robbie.
No problem, dude. Hold on a second. Pudding. You got
That's right.
that legally changed.
Legally changed. I got it legally changed to Pudding. The story is that, like, when I was, it's actually an interesting story in retrospect, because when I was in middle school, it was just kind of a funny joke. I told somebody my middle name was Pudding, and me and my friends always had these jokes about Bill Cosby, who was the American hero at the time. Yeah, I got pudding pops over my, that kind of stuff. You know, dumb middle schooler stuff. So the joke just kind of got tossed around that my middle name was Pudding, and it kind of stuck. And then as time went on, for some reason, I just didn't let the joke go. It was just a funny little talking point. So when it came time, I was hanging out with some friends, and their little brother came around, and he's like 16 years old, and he was kind of gullible enough to believe that it actually was Pudding. And he's like, "Let me see your driver's license." And I was like, "Oh, I don't have it." So that is what led me to actually legally change it to Pudding.
So you literally were like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my middle name to Pudding, and everyone's going to have to deal with it.
Yep, it's on them. Because middle names don't mean anything, right?
I don't know. I guess. I mean, depends. If you have a sick middle name, I mean, my name is Robert Robertson. So, like, if my middle name was Robert, then my parents would have been retarded.
What if your parents, like, your middle name, they chose it was going to be Rob? It would be Robert Robertson.
You know what? I'm happy it's not, because you don't know how many times I get that in a day. Like, people are like, "Is your middle name Robert?" I'm like, "Oh, no." Yeah.
Like, I feel great. I just made that same fucking joke.
It's literally like I hear it so much, and then everyone always says it like it's a disease. Like Robert's, like my teachers always did it. I'm like, can you just say it? Like, call me Robbie. It's that simple. I don't like to be called Robert. It makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Like,
that's interesting. So you don't like to be called Robert. You're specifically Robbie or nothing, or Rob.
yeah, well, yeah, I'll do Rob, but I like to do like two B's, and the reason why is I just like it different. Like, I feel like there's like so many people already named Rob, so I'm like the guy with the 100 arm wristband things on his arm that, like, you're like, why are you doing that? It's for attention.
Like Katie with two eyes at the end.
Yeah, like they don't need to do that. They just want to feel like special. I'm like, yeah, just call me Rob with two B's, please.
Nothing wrong with that. I always thought it was funny because people ask me, do I prefer Dave or David? And I was like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I can't imagine not being addressed by one or the other because they're so close together. But then Dave Chappelle came around, and nobody would ever call him David.
Yeah, because Dave Chappelle. It's his title name. That's actually what led to Will Smith in The Fresh Prince. The director asked him what would he like to be named in the show, and just remember that this is going to be what people are going to call you for the rest of your life. And he's like, okay, well, I want to be called Will Smith. And then next, like, you don't know Carlton as Alfonso. That's his real name. Like, nobody calls him Alfonso. Everyone's like, Carlton, do the Carlton. He's probably like, oh, you son of a bitch. Like,
He's so sick of that by now. I actually saw a clip of him on, like, Dancing with the Stars, and he still does the dance, and he breaks that thing out, and the crowd goes wild.
It's his signature.
It's his thing. That's what he's going to be remembered for. That's how the world will remember him, is by that one dance.
So, it's crazy is we actually live super close to each other. I'm actually in Maryland, and you're actually in Delaware.
That's right.
And you kind of do the same thing I do with podcasting.
Yeah. We do. We kind of have similar platforms.
You
stole each other's idea.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the whole fact, like, there's only 2% of podcasters out of the 750,000 that are now podcasting that focus on, like, just conversation. You kind of focus on, I'm guessing, like, the person a little bit more. I try and kind of, like, talk about the person, but it's mostly a conversation where you can feel free to, like, ask me things, I'll ask you things, and we just shoot the shit. I think with my reasoning with it was, we all walk around, but nobody knows each other anymore. Nobody takes the time to at least talk for at least an hour. I mean, it's kind of sad, but it's true.
But you're absolutely right. And that was kind of my motivation for my podcast in a similar way, where I feel like we're scared to talk to each other, especially the world's very polarized now. So we're afraid that the people around us that maybe look different than us or are a little different, even though we're supposed to be more inclusive by knowing so much more, I feel like we've isolated ourselves. And I think that if we were to, I just want to pull people off the street and say, I want to have a conversation with you. This isn't as scary as people are making this out to be. We're not as extreme as we've been portrayed. Does that make sense?
We act like we're so prejudiced too. We act like every little thing we can just nitpick, and just like constantly judge somebody. And I think that's a problem we all need to kind of work on. Like I see the dude on the bus that's, screaming and doing crazy rants about like the end is near, the time is now, pigs will fly. Like I see that guy, I'm like, yo, do you have an hour just to be able to chit chat? And hopefully he pulls out his little etch a sketch or whatever he does to mark down in his little calendar for me. And then next thing you know,
we need to bring etch a sketches back. They missed the mark on that. They could have been the new like Palm Pilot.
What? Are you kidding me? Etch a sketches were so difficult. I had ADHD, so I would just make it look like crazy, like scribble lines everywhere. Like my parents never put up any of my drawings on the fridge. It was more like, nah.
The irony of that guy that screams like the end is nigh in the street, the irony of that guy is that nobody listens to him.
I think it's the fact that he's looking for attention, dude. This is a world where people are constantly searching for acceptance and constantly searching for, attention. We want to be noticed, but we're also very comfortable with not being noticed if it doesn't work out, which is really ironic. Because if you think about people, everybody wants to either be famous, want to be rich, or want to just be remembered. And then we're too afraid to go pursue it, which is freaking weird.
Oh yeah, because to pursue it, you're venturing into the unknown, and the unknown is the scariest thing ever. The unknown and hummus. That's it. Those are the two scariest things.
Wait, what is hummus?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know what hummus is. I probably wouldn't like it. And I don't like mayo. I think if you eat mayo, there's something wrong. We need to talk about it, and we need to get down to the root.
You make a good point. I actually have no idea what mayo was made with.
It's made with it's made with mayo. That's all it is. Like, peanut butter comes from peanuts, but you don't know what else they add in there to make it that creamy. Like, what's with the crunchy? Like, did you decide to keep some of the nuts in there?
Like, there's no mayo tree, though. Like, I'm not going to go pull some mayonnaise out of the ground and make mayo. Like, what the fuck is it? Like,
I think it's a misconception. It's like one of those anomalies in life, like the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot. There's just mayo.
I like this mayo conspiracy. I like it. You know what? I have a conspiracy about something, and it's glitter.
Why is it everywhere, and why can I never get out of its grasp?
That too. Also, what is glitter?
It's like sparkles. It's like the sky. It's when a unicorn farts, and then it's just there.
They take a unicorn horn and they just shave it down with like a cheese grater, and that's what makes glitter, right?
Yeah.
And I just always wondered, what is glitter? Where does glitter come from? And I read this really interesting New York Times article one time where the reporter actually went to one of the glitter companies, which there's only 2 in America, and to try to get to understand what glitter is, and even they could barely explain it to them. Also, they're incredibly private, and also they will not disclose what the majority of glitter is used for.
Sounds like we got another Area 51 crisis on our hands.
That's what's going on.
Well, I just discovered what mayo was about. I didn't know that it was actually oil, egg yolk, and vinegar with lemon juice.
Motherfucker. I would not have guessed those.
Really does not make up the concept of why I do not like it.
Yeah, it sounds like those are all pretty, all those things are pretty above board, right?
I don't usually eat egg yolks, though, and I also don't like oil. I don't know. I have a conflicting thing inside of me. I need to stop doing the podcast now, and I guess I have to focus on that.
We're breaking new ground here. This is what this is about. It's not just about having conversations. It's about changing people, right?
We're about innovation. It's trying to get the world to open up its little cluster shell, which brings me to my question. What do you do professionally?
Drugs.
What types of drugs, first of all?
No, I actually make airplanes.
You do actually make airplanes?
Yep. They're made of paper.
Okay. So how do you sustain yourself off making paper airplanes? Because
make messages, so you can write messages down. and you can like throw it to people. It's really cool for like annoying people, like getting it. If you can get it in their ear, that's the best. You throw that thing, snap it right in their ear.
Yeah,
They never see it coming.
I could never make a good one. I've tried watching YouTube tutorials, but nope, can't do it. Every time it just fall straight to the ground.
I believe in you.
I think people are like paper airplanes.
How so?
We have an inevitable hit to the bottom.
That's a good point.
Some people's flight's a little bit shorter. Some people's flights go really, really long, and sometimes that flight gets a little bit of gust of wind under it. Next thing you know, it's flying straight up in the air.
You're right. It just takes a little bit of motivation, a little bit of help from outside forces, and you can go anywhere in this life.
I think the whole fact of what I just said was all improv, and also that you could make any stupid, ridiculous thing turn into a freaking religious life experience.
I actually have a story about that. When I was in college, and I was not, or still am, a very handsome man. So you gotta play to your strengths, right? When
You
you're
got to be funny as hell.
Yes. So I, at the very least, thought I was funny. So there I am. I'm in like the lunch line at like the cafeteria area. This is really cute girl in front of me, and I was buying the cheapest item on the menu, a hot dog, and she had like a sandwich or something. And I thought, okay, this is my move. I want to say something to her. I just want her to think I'm interesting. So what I'm going to do is, while she's checking out, she's paying for her stuff. Right as the person gives her card back, that's when I'm going to end my sentence. And that will give her the opportunity to either walk away, that way she has an out, or she'll want to continue talking to me while I check out, right? That'll let me know if there's interest there. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? I got to think of something. I can't think of anything. She's checking out. I'm like, I just got to think of something. And I just look at her and I go, hi, life is like a sandwich. And she goes, oh? I said, yes, because it only takes very, very few ingredients to make a sandwich, but a sandwich will always make your day better. Therefore, that's kind of a way to control your own happiness. And she just was like, that's interesting.
I would have slapped the shit out of you.
Right?
Slapped the hell out of you. I'm sorry. If you would have said it to me, I'm like, this is just a fucking sandwich, dude. Like, it could be a shit sandwich. Then a sandwich does not make your day better. I think a lot of people in the world experience a shit sandwich every single day, which is why they feel like they can't do anything with their lives.
Why would you be making a shit sandwich? You made the sandwich. That's the analogy.
Yeah, but technically, if you look at it real closely, making a sandwich is like making
sandwiches, my dude.
Well, listen to this. Making a sandwich is like life, okay? You make your own life, right? Well, why do people like to let it suck? Huh? You're basically choking down the fucking shit sandwich that is life all the time until you get to the inevitable end. Do you want to say, well, I sustained myself? No, I don't want to say I sustained myself. I want to say I had a fucking hoagie fest at Wawa, and it was amazing, okay? I double packed the meat. I double packed all the condiments. You couldn't even close it. When she tried to wrap it, it ripped through the paper, okay? This is the Incredible Hulk of hoagies. That's what you want to concept up to life. You like that? That was all sporadic. I'm about to start making fortune cookies, yo. Those people.
Do you know there's only one person that makes fortune cookies? That makes.
I bet it, and they own the market.
They do. They've cornered the market on the fortunes and fortune cookies. It's all made by like the dude's daughter.
Have you ever
do this? What? Okay, if you could make like a fortune cookie but use a different food, what food would you do?
Oh, dude. Yeah, I don't know. You got to be careful because even people now accidentally eat the fortune in the fortune cookie. Like, you ever been so hungry you just like bite into the fortune cookie and then accidentally swallow a bit of the paper?
I can't say I've ever quite been that hungry, but close. I've been so hungry that I haven't read it.
Well, you know what the weird part about a fortune cookie is, right?
What?
It's, you know how it's got like blank taste? It's not really like anything like it's going to make you jump out of your seat.
Yeah.
It's a freaking palate cleanser.
It is a palate cleanser.
That's what you're supposed to eat that either like in between meals to like change the taste if you're going to have dessert or something, or you eat it at the end of a meal to kind of kills, I guess, the leftover taste in your mouth, which is really,
like the
really
lingering
weird.
flavor.
I think
That's interesting. I didn't really think about that.
I think there's a lot of things that's awesome about life that people need to start realizing more about. Not even just the concept of people, but there's so many random things we don't even truly look at even closely and then try and pull some meaning out of it. Like even that can just boost your mood. I think differently on fortune cookies, but if I was going to say something to put a fortune in, I don't even know, man. That's a tough question because like fortune cookie, it's all I can think of because it just dominates the market.
Dominates it. Just think you could put like what if we start doing hoagies? Like it'll be on the wrapper. Or like you know how like hoagies it's always split in the middle. So in the middle there's the fortune.
You're diving into Laffy Taffy territory with their jokes on the wrapper.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, I think the Willy Wonka company, I think that's gone. Like Wonka doesn't make anything anymore.
They still
there's
make
opportunity.
Pixie sticks. I still see Pixie sticks.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they don't have the Wonka name on it anymore.
I don't think they just even whatever happened to that, dude. Candy, man. Like that was a main thing. Like everyone ate candy. And now I like rarely see it. I think people are too afraid to be fat shamed.
I think so. I actually was just talking to my girlfriend last night about this, about how I don't think I've had a candy bar. Like I've gone into like a Walgreens or anything and bought a candy bar in probably 4 years.
It's been a while.
Because you know why? Because they kept that sugar is bad thing down for so long that now that it's out, people are done. I think that's what it is.
The sugar bad industry. That was all like they messed up so much with like. Did you know why cornflakes was originally invented? Right.
No, why was that?
1945, Sir Harvey Kellogg. He actually was I think he was an institution person. I don't remember if he was one of the not a patient, but the care providers to the patients, and he was doing a test. He left found a patient left a little bit of his like oatmeal in his or like it was some type of frosted like wheat thing in his bowl, and it actually like turned into like this weird like mush, and he found that sugar leads to high passions. So he believed, like you can look this up, the original reason cornflakes was invented was to prevent masturbation.
Wow.
He believed that sugar was linked to passions. So I think it was like 1947. His brother actually wanted to add something to the cornflakes recipe, and it was sugar. And Sir Harvey Kellogg was like, "Hell no! If you change the original recipe by adding sugar, then people are going to be masturbating all over the place." And actually, the rooster on the front of cornflakes. Do you know what his name is?
Woody?
No, it's freaking Corny. Corny the rooster, okay?
Corny
And
the rooster.
his motto used to be up, up, up with cornflakes, down, down, down with masturbation.
Down, down, down with the Third Reich.
Then eventually, when it became newer, they took it off the slogan, everything, and then nobody even knows the name of the green rooster anymore.
For the better, because that's terrible. Also, he's right. I have never had cornflakes, and it has never stopped me masturbating. I'm masturbating right now. I just ate a bowl 2 hours ago.
Dude, I don't know. If you eat a bowl of cornflakes, you're like, I think you're more worried about like, I have sharp, jagged pieces of glass stuck in my teeth. Like it hurts. My mouth does not feel well. I don't feel well with myself, but I guess I got my dietary fiber in.
What's your favorite cereal?
Oh, dude, I go ham on cereal. Like I'm a fitness nut, but I eat handfuls of cereal all day. Frosted Mini Wheat seems to be my particular favorite at the moment. I think I don't know. I like it because you can like take there's one little one, shove it in your mouth, and just like kind of chew on it, and it's like gum a little bit. You know what I mean?
I guess so. I never really thought about that, and I can tell. And so you're really into fitness. You make a podcast, so you must love Joe Rogan's podcast.
That's my inspiration for starting it, and I'm guessing it's probably the same for you.
I knew it. For me, the inspiration for starting a podcast was actually the Rooster Teeth podcast.
Ah, okay, yeah, the humor ones. I used to listen to those before I listened to Joe Rogan, way back in my gaming days.
Yeah. They still make them, and I guess I'm just so acclimated to the cast now that I don't even watch their stuff anymore, really. But well, actually, no, I should say yes, I do, but because I really like Cam.
Because your persona kind of sounds like a mixture of the boys from Rooster Teeth.
I draw a lot of inspiration from them, and I really just like they have a really good back and forth banter. I love that. It's hard to get that
friends joking around in a like gaming scenario. Like it's a bunch of your friends playing games together and creating a podcast where you talk about what you're doing or things or just about stuff. Like if you find yourself, like I still have friends that come over from when I first started my podcast, and we have podcasts that go from like 2 to 3 hours long. It's all about vibing with whoever you're with, you know?
Mhm.
Do you find
Yeah,
like
you're
what?
absolutely right. Speaking of those like old video game days, you remember that when you would like go over to your friend's house and you play the 4-on-4 co-op? Remember those days?
I remember the gaming Mountain Dew 2 liters like through the night and with a bag of Doritos, and then waking up the next day after like an hour of sleep, basically, and just doing it all over again.
Yep, because it was Sunday that day, and you didn't have anything to do that day either, so might as well get back in.
Well, most of the time you were a kid, you didn't have a car, you didn't have to go ability like a lot of cash. Like what, your dad gave you like $10 to go try and sustain yourself, go down to the store, get some cheese fries, get like a Monster energy drink, and hopefully they didn't find out about that you were drinking one of those things.
Yep, you had to hide it before they come home. You got to like take the cans and throw them in somebody else's garbage bin.
What's really scary is like the fact that like I look back at the days I was a gaming nerd before I joined like the gym, and then I'm like, how was I so captivated? And then I started playing like World of Warcraft recently. Yeah, I'm gonna admit to it. And I got trapped back in. Like I looked down, I was like, holy shit, it's been 6 hours. Like,
It sucks you in.
whoa, like what just happened?
Yeah, when I would say I was six. Oh, no, I was younger than that. I was probably 14 or 15, and I was playing World of Warcraft at the time. I was up pretty much by myself for the most part, and I would play. You're right, like 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day. I'd come home from school and I would just play. And then I started doing magic, like Penn and Teller, David Copperfield stuff, and I realized that when I wasn't playing video games, I was like, wow, I can actually get some shit done. Like I can actually learn how to do this. I can actually like impress my friends. And I have been casually getting out of it ever since.
Why did you jump into a fascination with magic though? Like that's so I mean I tried juggling and I tried doing like little card tricks and stuff, but I was never super good at it.
Well, or I should say, magic for me, it was a way. I look at back at it retrospectively. It was a way for me to actually relate to other people. I had a lot of trouble like making friends when I was young, and so this was a way that I could like show them something that they would never see before. And I just like making people happy, and I like being an entertainer. So this was a natural step for me. And magic taught me a lot about a lot of things. First off, it taught me how to perform and like actually how to talk to people, but also taught me the value of preparation, because there is no magic trick that does not have preparation behind it. If anybody that's ever done a magic trick in their life, even just like a basic card trick, knows that there's a lot more work that goes on behind the scenes before the trick starts than actually happens when the trick is going on.
Do you find like your fascination like can you believe that 2% of the people that podcast focus on just conversations with people, and then we happen to live state like right next to each other? That's pretty coincidental, but I also think it's also might happen to do with our area a little bit.
Probably. I
It
think it's a
seems like more people are closed off on the East Coast a little bit because everybody's kind of dreaming of a West life or a West Coast lifestyle.
You're right. It does seem like everybody kind of wants to like go to California, and that's where the entertainment's going to happen. And I think you're right. There is something to this where on the East Coast we do kind of keep to ourselves, and there is that desire to want to branch out and meet new people because people are a little bit more closed off, I would say.
What decided you to get this form of podcasting or just try and talk to people? Because I mean, people aren't the best all the times. Like I give people a benefit of the doubt 100%, but I believe we all suck, sadly. And not saying that to be mean, but I'm saying it as we choose to suck. Like we have an aspiration to become great. We have an aspiration to become the best people possible. But I think the way we live today and a lot of what people call comfortable or flying under the radar is us sucking because it's not letting us go down our true path. So
Mhm.
I had to experience that by talking to people and hearing advice and also kind of finding it myself like, oh my God, people don't suck. I've seen, my faith in humanity be restored. I've seen those. What about for you? Did you experience some type of like trauma in your life? I guess, like you said, you didn't have too many friends. Like, were you a bit of a loner? Because, like, I'll admit, I was a bit of a loner. My Xbox was my friend, and it was like, I feel like people that have more times with their thoughts start to realize the true benefit of actually being very, very social because you've already been closed off for so long. And then when someone actually talks to you, it's like a hug. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's like it's a hug for your soul. You're like, oh shit. Like it's like Sims. You have a social meter.
You're absolutely right. You're right completely. And I would say for me, I came from a very rough home life. You know, it was just not a place for a kid to grow up, and I was always just trying to escape to something else. So that's what, when I was very very young, I was just playing video games. I was just trying to be anywhere but at my house, and mentally or physically. And but because of that, I didn't have a foundation of what a positive relationship was supposed to look like, because in my home it was all negative types of relationships. It's just people yelling at each other. So when it came to like going to school and making friends, I really didn't have a basis to work with. I didn't have the knowledge, so I kids didn't understand me, and I didn't know how to express myself to them. So that was where, as I got older, that's when I realized that, oh, if I can be funny, and that's where I got a sense of humor from. Well, then maybe people will accept you a little bit more. Also stops bullies a little bit.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think it's a whole fact. Like, people like they say comedians are the most damaged. It's true. Like, I mean, I
absolutely.
don't consider myself a funny guy in any means of the terms, but I can definitely make a chuckle here or there, and I'm more than happy to embarrass myself to make a laughter just to increase someone's day. And I can tell you that came from, not having anybody like to kind of watch me, from parents working two jobs, not coming from a comfortable home environment. It wasn't their fault. It's just, the party, I guess, a party divided or a house divided cannot stand, Abraham Lincoln's quote. It's true. If you don't have a nice firm set structure, sometimes or more like other times, that person turns out with some pretty thoughtful shit.
Yeah, yeah. And let me say this: would you say that you're a people pleaser? Would you call yourself a people pleaser?
I tend not to anymore. I used to be like, I have to make everything right and everything okay for everybody. But I found myself like, if I try and please too many people, there's always going to be one person that's going to not agree. So I think, if as long as what I'm doing is not bothering anybody, then it's working.
I completely get that. And because I've always found myself a people pleaser, and I always wondered like where that came from. And then, once I started going to therapy and I learned more about like what's actually going on upstairs, that's when I learned that, oh, it was just my home life that did that. Like, it's amazing how these tiny little things influence you throughout your life, or like when you're a kid, how that influences you for the rest of your life.
Well, I think a lot of people gloss over like I guess, deep root problems sometimes. A lot of people look at something that happens to them in that moment and then think it's never going to go away. Like, no, that problem's going to pass. Like, you need to, if you're not doing anything with your life, you need to kind of go out and do something with it. But not at the same time, like, that doesn't mean you can't go home, sit, watch Netflix and do that for whatever. But you also have a purpose too. Everyone has, I believe, starting to kind of believe it a little bit of destiny. I wouldn't say it's like you have, I wouldn't give it at least that fancy name for it. I think it kind of makes it sound flavorful. I don't really like that. I think, instead of destiny, I just think we all have something. Like, we all have something, and we can choose to pursue it or we can choose to let it be. And if you choose to let it be, you're missing out on something you might be super, super good at, that you might be the first for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody's good at something, and everybody can be good at something. I think what you're saying is everyone has a purpose.
Yeah, but purpose makes it sound so structured. I don't like that word either.
Yeah,
There's
but
not a
like,
good word. I'm telling you, there's not a good word for feeling like you have something that is made for you.
let's make up a word. Why
Hoagie
can't we do
fest.
that? This is how words get made, right?
Hoagie fest. Let's do it.
I think that's already taken, but
But
I
it's
think we can
made
repurpose it. I
for
don't think they'll
you.
mind.
Okay, well, what do you want to say? What would, let's see. It's got to sound mystical, and
Mhm.
it's got to sound not dickish. It's got to
Well,
be
then I'm
like,
out.
it's got to be,
Okay.
it's got to not be super childish, but it's got to sound mystical.
Hmm.
Or we can use an older one that's already been created, but then all that also kind of sounds structured, but it's old school structure, so it sounds badass. Forthright.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh. Like the kid in school that's named Beowulf. You're not fucking with Beowulf.
You're not fucking with Beowulf
The
ever.
teacher calls that name. Everyone's like, yo, I don't know who that guy is. Like, I don't know his personal life, but I'm just gonna leave him be.
I'm gonna chill
And
with him.
I
You just give
know
him some candy and walk away.
I know if a bear comes in here, he gonna snap its neck.
Most in high school, he was voted most likely to snap a bear's neck.
That one small section in the yearbook that no one. Where's Beowulf? Well, he's won every single year for the kid that's going to snap a bear's neck if it ever breaks into the school. The only year he might have had a little bit of competition was when that 10-foot Russian dude came in. It's just a Russian, it's like a picture, but it's like a Russian dude, and it's cut off at his waist.
Yeah. Or that one time we took a field trip to Colorado. He almost had his opportunity.
What's a Yellowstone? So what do you expect to do in life? Like, what's your passion? Obviously your passion is talking to people, but like, what do you see like as a career wise for you? Like, what do you want to do in the long run?
Retirement.
Retired just to be happy? I mean, that's what a lot of people go for, is just to survive. I'm like, do you want to say you fucking survived? Or do you want to say you lived?
Right. I would say truthfully, I just like entertaining people. I just like making stuff creatively. That's kind of what got me here. Before I did this, I was like I told you, I did magic for a little while. I did that, I'd say, from the time I was about 13 until the time I would say I probably got out of it when I was about 22.
You should
And
be a
then
cartoonist.
a cartoonist. Oh no, I'm not that great
Dude,
with it.
yeah, you don't need to be the one that draws it, but I'm telling you, your ideas could spark a pretty good show.
Oh, I could see myself being a writer. I
Like a
just
Family Guy type scenario.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you for saying that. I would love to be a writer. I just have trouble sitting down for too long, so I like performing. Like I know you said you have ADHD. I also have ADHD.
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah, and so
That's why
the
we vibe so good.
exactly right. This is perfect. I don't know if anybody's listening to this if they are gonna like get this train of thought that we have ridden on this whole time, but I'm enjoying this.
The craziest thing is when people like me and you, we're outcasts of society technically. By the scientific definition of what society claims as normal, we're outside the normal line. We're outside of the only thing that could put us back into the normal section is drugs.
Well, thank God. That's the one thing I'm good at.
But not the good ones though, the bad ones.
Ah,
The pharmaceutical brand, the one that they use a fancy name for when it's legally meth.
I could tell so much that you are a Joe Rogan fan just from that. I love it.
It's the fact. It's true though. Like I'm just like I said, I've wised up. As much as I like to joke around and I can be serious at times, I like to joke around in life, but I also am open and I can feel people. Like I can feel for somebody. I want to understand as much as I possibly can. And the best way, knowledge is power. I think knowledge is experience though. I actually listened to a podcast yesterday with Maynard Keenan, the guy from Tool.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was talking
They
about
just dropped a new album, didn't they?
yeah, he was like, he was like, I think talking to people is power. That is knowledge because it's experience. And I was like, that's true because now I've talked to so many people, probably around 160 something podcasts now, and I've learned so much. I remember so much that I can't knock anything anymore. You know what I mean? I used to be able to like, oh, that doesn't make sense. You're what? You're a flat earther. Now I gotta dive into the realm. I think I have to play devil's advocate more in my life now. I have to fight for the other side, even if I might agree with the side I'm fighting against.
Mhm.
I have to have that refuting opinion, not to be a dick, but to understand both sides, because if it's just one-sided and both agree, then you're not truly getting the answer that might be needed. You're only getting the answer that is just satisfiable at the time.
You're absolutely right. It seems like the world, as we've kind of progressed through it, has become a lot more gray. There's not as many black and whites anymore. So anytime you think that you're right, you have to look at the other side.
Well, the push for
Always have to look at
creativity
it.
is so little now. Nobody ever wants to go out and inspire and do their own thing because creativity is seen as a weird, odd thing to be having. You don't want to be having curiosity. You don't want to have creativity. You don't want to be living differently from Jim that works the 9 to 5.
Mhm.
I
I will say with that, as an artist, I totally get it. I completely understand it because I watched a really great talk from the guy who was the manager for the Sex Pistols. He was an artist, and he said to be an artist is to learn how to fail because art it's illogical. People that don't do it or don't make it, they're not going to understand it. And because of that, you're right. We're always going to be on the fringe. People that don't think creatively never will be able to think creatively. We're never. It's just something you can't convey.
I got a better quote than that one. You know who it's by?
Who?
One of my famous, or not famous, one of my favorite artists throughout history. Do you want to take a shot in the dark and guess who it is?
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Okay. I'll give you one more chance.
Salvador Dali.
One more.
Rene Magritte.
All right. You fucked up. That was 3 shots, and all 3 shots in the dark, okay? He's a famous painter and also inventor and also did a lot of crazy stuff. And he's in a
Oh,
very
well, then I guess I wonder who it is. I wonder if it's Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes, sir. He said, art is never finished, just left undone.
Oh, I like that.
You listen to that. Now take the true basis of what he was saying from it. You can always add something to it. He did not finish the Mona Lisa. He said that. He did not finish it. He did not have it to where he wanted to be. He had it in his house, constantly, or his workshop, constantly making and adding on things. It took years. He would always add something because he understood people are like art. They're never finished.
That's true. Do you
They're
think he told the guy
constant-
that he bought it from him, or that bought it from him? He probably didn't tell him that, though.
No,
Oh,
well,
man, I love your painting. Thank you very much for making it. Absolutely, it's not finished. Oh,
he didn't die. I mean, he didn't get the painting bought from him. He died, and then they just sold his shit.
oh, really? I thought he sold that one. That wasn't a commission or anything.
No, they sold all of his shit
That son of a bitch.
and all of his inventions. After all the years he was working on them, weren't even really, like, I guess, known or even thought of to be considered until 100-something years after his death.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause
that's right. He
everyone
didn't
thought
make a
was
lot of his things.
no, everyone thought he was a loon.
True.
And they walk into a workshop, they see nothing but scribbles and crumbled up pieces of paper thrown all over the place. They're like, "Oh, what the hell is this?"
Do you know what he? Speaking of loons, do you know what loon is a term for in modern day?
Looney Tune?
Close. It's someone sexually attracted to balloons.
That wasn't close at all.
Yeah, I just did
I'm
a
thinking Bugs Bunny, you're thinking like balloon fucker.
yeah, balloon fuckers. Essentially, they're called loons, and they are a subdivided group. And I learned about them the other day. I went down a rabbit hole, and it was amazing because I'm going to tell you, Rob, if that is your real name,
Robbie.
I'm going to tell you,
Robbie.
Robbie. I'm sorry. Look, I already messed it up.
Thank you.
Is because there's 2 types of people that like balloons sexually. They have the non-poppers. These are people that they just like the touch of it. They like the balloon as is, and I guess fucking it. But then you have
latex.
Yeah, they like the latex.
Put a condom
But then you
on.
have your poppers who are sexually attracted to the popping of the balloon.
All right, I have a phobia of that. I hate that.
Okay, see, so you're a non-popper. That's
No,
cool.
I don't get attracted by balloons at all. But I'm saying I actually fear a little bit of balloons, either if they pop or not. The fact is, if they're actually, they might scare me more if they don't pop, because then I'm wondering when that pop's going to happen. When I was a kid, I had sensitive ears, and me and my brother, like he figured out that the popping scared the shit out of me. So he would do it at the weirdest like moments to scare you, like make you jump. And he did it all the time. And then I remember making balloon animals, and I made a bunch of balloon animals because it was fun. And then they were just sitting there on the floor, and I was like backing away, and then he would get real close to me and stomp on them. And oh, dude, it was bad. But like, yeah, I pulled that out. That's like scars. That's like my PTSD is balloons. Like I even now, like I work at a hotel, and there was like a bachelor party, and then we get bachelor parties, bachelorette parties. They had a freaking balloon shaped like a dick. Yo, I
Nice.
looked so homophobic walking away from this balloon. Like I was like staying away from it like it was like a disease. They're like, "What are you gay? Like you hate gays or something?" I was like, "Actually, no. Like I have a family member that's gay. Like that's like
But like,
saying
no, man, I gotta go jerk off. That's what this is.
that's like saying that's weird though to even say that. Like I have a family member that's gay. People do that. Like like that justifies them being able to say gay. I'm like, hold on a second. That's like saying you have a friend that's tall. Like
Yeah,
I have a friend that's tall. It's like, okay, like who gives a shit? We're all people.
it doesn't matter anymore.
You like what you like, dude. See, that's the whole thing. When people get one-sided and they go against people like, oh, that guy, he likes this and doesn't like that. I was like, he's wrong. He's a Trump supporter. I'm like, who cares? Really? Does it come down? Is this affecting your sleep? Then we need to figure out why that's happening. Like you got something you want to do with your life. We all have something we want to do, whether you want to build IKEA furniture or whether you want to talk to people. Like use it to your ability and don't think about what that person you just met 5 minutes ago at the store is going to do for the rest of your life. Like, don't think about it because you might not even run into them again.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, you let these tiny little instances control your life. And my personal advice that I try to live by on that is, will this matter in a month? When I look, like, think about the things that happened last month and how important they seem now. Now think about this moment, because it's going to be a last month moment soon. And will it seem that big of a deal then?
Yeah, like August passed. Well, now we're on to a whole new month. It's like, okay, like you move on, you pursue, like you keep on going. All right, to knock off the family that has close to the same last name as me, they're called the Robinsons. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. I just made that Disney movie fucking real now. That movie just had more of an impact into your life, where you thought it was just a kid building a time travel machine, trying to go back in time to where his mother put him up for adoption, which is insane backstory for freaking a Disney movie. Like, you want to talk about being a kid and glossing over that? Then you become an adult and watch that. You're like, oh my God, like this was also for my parents to understand.
Yeah, Disney movies don't fuck around, especially Pixar movies. Like, Up, that beginning like 5-minute sequence that's rough.
Yo, that's a scene you're just like, damn, it's getting real, and it's like the beginning of the movie. I
came here to laugh. I came here to like enjoy myself.
I haven't even dipped into my snacks yet. Like, I haven't even...
You can't hit me with feelings when I'm on an empty stomach. I haven't even gotten this popcorn down. Yeah, it's rude.
Turning around, yelling at the projection guy like it's his fault. Like, motherfucker, I didn't even put the armrest down. Like, shit.
Give me a chance.
You know where they say shut your phone off before the movie starts? Give me a fucking warning before you start watching this dude's wife die on freaking film in a Disney movie. I'm sitting here trying to enjoy myself and escape my reality.
trying to some escapism. Do you think that the people at Pixar, do you think they do that on purpose just to fuck with you?
I think it's an idea that Pixar and Disney movies are doing the hardest thing possible, and they're trying to make it relevant to all audience age groups.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Like, SpongeBob does it pretty freaking well. SpongeBob said jokes in the show that when I watch now as an adult and knowing a lot more, I'm like, I didn't even realize that. Like, I didn't realize that. That's why my dad likes sitting and watching cartoons with me, because he could understand some of the SpongeBob jokes that were older references, the stuff only adults would be able to get. It's the idea to capture both kind of audiences, but mainly they tag towards just kids. Same thing with Jimmy Neutron. Like, the dad has one of the quotes that's usually in a meme that says, well, son, one day I sat on a banana, and let me tell you, that changed my life. And in my head, I'm thinking, yo, he sat on a banana? That dumbass. And then I think about it, I'm like, yo, that was a gay reference. And, like, I wondered why my dad got that, and I didn't.
Bro, I have a family member that's gay.
Okay, bro. Well, I know a tree that's pretty freaking tall, and it's creating some shadows over my window. So
throwing some shade?
Throwing that dark cloud.
Yeah, TV, when you look back on what we used to accept, and like what we watch TV, it's amazing. Do you know what I miss the most about cable?
Just waiting for a commercial to pop up every 5 seconds?
Close, yeah, but it was the toothbrush commercials. You never get those anymore. I always love
real toothbrush commercial, dude.
What is it?
You need a real toothbrush commercial.
Yeah, like every time I watch a toothbrush commercial, I was always wondering, like, all right, how are they going to reinvent the wheel this time? Like, how do you make toothbrushes exciting every single time? Whoever's making those ads deserved more credit, because.
But it's the same thing. Like, wait a minute. Why are you doing an advertisement for toothbrushes? Like, it's like toilet paper. Who's not wiping their ass?
Yeah, but that's just kind of what they got to do. You know, somebody makes a new toothbrush, you got to try to sell it, right? So I just love that, like, they always just try to make it the greatest sounding thing ever. I always love, like, whenever, like, the stuff's rotating and it's moving around, they always have arrows, like it fucking matters what direction it goes in. Like, if it's going counterclockwise instead of clockwise, I'm like, oh, I'm out. That's not for me. That's some bullshit.
Same thing with toothpaste, though. It only kills at 99.9%. I'm looking at the screen like, what about that 0.1?
That's what I'm concerned about.
That's that 0.1, yo.
The elite bacteria that lives through it. And
the freaking Osmosis Jones of the germ universe.
Yes. I
Yeah.
gotta watch that movie again. It was just
That'll
brought to my
change
attention.
that'll change your mind on how you swallow pills for the rest of your life.
I've thought about that already too much as it is.
Every time I take Tylenol, I look at it, I'm like, you're going to have a blaster cannon on your arm, but killing all the bad sickness inside of me. So later when I take a poop, I know you did your job well, my son.
I love the adorable little backstory you think about when you take the pill. I like that.
It's hard because when you have ADHD, much like you probably just start doing random, freaky, stupid things. And like it creates, I guess, what you think is a normal life. But if you did that like to someone else, they'd be like, what are you doing? Like, this is so like crazy and nuts. And you're like, that's how I live. Like, I
Right?
thought this is how everyone lived. Like, everyone thought this way. And then you find out nobody thinks this way. It's like a very select group of people are like, this dude's thoughts are like Family Guy on crystal crack, like trying to dive into a world of just things that are just so unexplainable, and then your brain's like thinking of huge backstories to it all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd like to think because I like to talk about that type of stuff of the weird shit that I do on a daily basis because I sometimes I know that people aren't going to understand it or they're not going to be able to relate to it. And I say this: if someone is going to judge me based off my lifestyle that isn't hurting that isn't hurting anybody, then that's on them. That just means they're jealous of my life because they can't do it.
Ah, that's a freaking crazy way of thinking about it, but I like the way you do it, and I'm trying to understand it. But I think if you start worrying or saying like, that's just ridiculous for them to judge me, I'm like, then you're already kind of diving in their realm too, because then you're judging their judgment.
Yeah. Well, I just mean that's how I get over that anxiety personally. Like because I'm always worried about what others think of me, and that's how I calm myself down. Is thinking, hey, what am I worried about?
Well, that's not. And it's the crazy thing is that's so hard to get rid of too. Like I think about what others think of me, but then I also go, fuck it. I
Yeah.
have days where I wake up, I feel like shit. I go to the store in sweatpants, and I'm like, I do not care. But then when I see someone looking at me, and they could be looking at something beside me, and they're laughing, I think they're laughing at me. I'm like, who? In my head, I'm like, this guy. Like, all right, I'll meet you in 12 items or less, bitch. But then I'm like, you know what?
I see
Honestly,
you on aisle 4, motherfucker.
like I'm about to go home and probably lay down and just watch Netflix. So I'm not even going to put any time or effort into you. I think if you,
Hands are rated E for everyone, son.
yeah, you're gonna catch something. And let me tell you, it's a Madden experience.
But that's why if I always think if people are going to judge me for the way I'm living, that's like I think that's more telling of them than it is for me.
I think it's like making a catchphrase for life, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
You
I have a
start,
question for you. Speaking of catchphrases,
okay,
when you take food out of the freezer to cool it off so that you can use it later for cooking, what do you call that?
I don't do that.
I, what?
I don't
What?
I don't unthaw food.
What do you call what do you call it?
I eat average. I eat like cans of tuna. I eat like microwavable shit because I don't know how to use the oven.
Did you just call it unthawing?
It's unthawing is pulling it out of the freezer and unthawing it. You said to use for cooking later. That's called. Oh, I mean that's thawing out, isn't it?
Okay, it's thawing because I have an argument with my friends. Is it thawing or dethawing?
I think
But
it's
unthawing, I like that. You threw a third option into the mix.
thawing though. Seems like you're freezing it. It sounds like you're kind of freezing it.
Well, thaw.
It's a really rough word to have for unfreezing something.
Yeah, because they technically. So I looked it up. They mean the same thing. Thawing and dethawing, same thing. It's like tomato kind of thing. But I'm curious to see what you had under your belt, and I'm so glad I asked because unthawing that's a new level. We're
Yeah,
breaking new ground here,
I can't
Robbie.
do that though because like I don't think of eating as something that is supposed to be like a long process. I don't really have a lot of time for it. Like even when I podcast, I hate doing this now, but it's how apparently to do it now, especially if you're doing it with the podcasting community or something like through like Facebook or however you can. I commend that because it's awesome. I can get the guests like crazy, but I also start at 1 o'clock in the morning with people from Australia on my day off. And then I don't stop until like late that night. and I hate having to schedule things like, oh, I have this time available for you. I want to podcast with everybody. That's like 9 billion people. I'm not looking for people that want to do things. I'm going to find things about people that are going to be interesting, and every conversation is going to be unique, just like the person who's on. Same thing with you, like where you said your professional career, someone normally would have gave me like an answer like, I work at a retail store, but you were like, I work making paper airplanes. Like, it's a joke, but it shows your personality. Like, it shows your sense of humor. It shows your character to you. Everyone has their own identifiable character that falls under something, but many people like go, oh, he's a good guy. Oh, he's a bad guy. You want to know how you can describe me? He's Robbie. They're like, what does that mean? Is it good or bad? Like, you have to just experience Robbie for himself. Like, you don't know what to say afterwards. You think, holy shit, this kid might be mentally retarded. And then later you're having a rough day and you're driving home, and whatever he said earlier, where you kind of called him an idiot, you think about and you start laughing and realize like you totally forget about your day, like how bad it was. And I've had people say that to me, and I'm like, I'm glad I could do that for you. And I just walk away, and they just look at me like, wow. I I I
Wow.
I think that's what I like to do. I don't mind, like you said, I don't mind making myself look like a buffoon to make someone laugh. I truly take the time. I have foreign exchange students, like transfer students that come from Romania, come from Bulgaria, come from Ukraine, come from all this, that come down here and stay at work at my hotel. And people, a lot of what suffers in society today is being two-faced. A lot of people display a persona that is not them, and they go and talk about you behind your back. And all the kids see that down here, and they go, people suck. You're all two-faced. This country is terrible. I want to go back home. And they're crying, basically, like it's coming to the end of summer. They're basically tired. They're working 2 jobs. They just want to go home. And
Oh, so you get to talk to those people?
oh
That
yeah,
that do
half of
that?
my half of my podcasts are from those people. I have one of my oh god, I was so upset he did not come to America this year. But his name is Dragos Guzaman. Yeah.
That's dope.
But I know how to speak their language, Romanian. I know how to say all the curse words in their language. I know how to speak Bulgarian. I know how to speak a
You got
little.
the essentials.
Yeah, like I know how to say stupid things. And actually, it's one of my plans for winter. I'm taking a trip. I'm gonna go around to their countries and stay with a couple of them.
You want
Living
to go to
there.
Romania? Ukraine?
Yeah, my buddy Dimitri Hetman. He's actually he wants to be, like I said, I get stories from everybody, like what they want to do in life. And Dimitri, I met him my first year at work there. I've been working there 3 years at this hotel, and he wants to make sustainable clean energy for the world. That's his dream, and that's in one of my podcasts, number 98 on my first season. And I'm like, it's awesome. And then I have others too. My buddy Vili that wants to be an astrophysicist. Like, holy crap! Like, you're from Bulgaria, you want to be an astrophysicist? He goes, "Have you ever heard Neil deGrasse Tyson speak?" I'm like, I have. It's pretty
Like,
sweet.
fuck yeah, man.
Yeah,
I've heard him speak a lot. I mean, you got to come here more often. You are going to be happy because he does not like to shut up.
yeah. Well, then my one buddy Draco's from Romania. Like, he taught me all the things like that. He goes, "You got to say kagat." I'm like, "What's kagat?" He goes, "It means shit." I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I
Learn
started
a new
walking
word.
around, and I'm just walking around going, "Kagat!" Like, this is kagat. Like, you just go, And then I've learned some of the words. Like, even there's one word I was like, I don't even say that in English, and I'm not going to say that in another language. I think you can guess what that one is.
Ye-
But at the same time, I hear their stories, and they keep in contact with me, and they're all around my age. So then I see them like when they graduate and stuff, and like you can listen to them in my episodes and hear each individual story. But that's like every single one.
yeah.
Everybody is unique. Someone I met through my hotel, professional women's champion arm wrestler at one point in her life.
What?
Yeah. I'm like, excuse me? She told me that. I was like, can we talk about this? She's like, yeah. She's like, let's do it. I'm like, all right.
You
And she,
have
I still
I
see
have
her
a
every
question for
day.
you about this because we have it sounds like we have very similar experience in how we try to get these people on where you just talk to somebody and they say they do something interesting and you're like, oh, I can use you.
I don't
And
see it as using though. I see it like you have a fucking story and I want to hear it. Like right now, you're telling
yeah,
Mm.
me the story of David Pudding Shockley. I'm going to put a fucking parenthesis over the pudding because it wasn't your birthright. But I commend your commitment to the name.
Yeah, well,
But
I'm just saying that, like, I'm so glad that we can talk about this because I feel terrible sometimes when somebody tells me that they do something interesting because I don't have. I like to say I don't have a addictive personality. I have an obsessive personality, and that's why I'm obsessed with crack. But when people say that they do something, I just want to dive in and learn everything about them and like this interesting thing that they do. And I feel like sometimes it's tough because I just want to talk to them, and then like sometimes I'm like, but can you come on my show though? That would be really freaking cool.
yeah, you see
And
it as a resource for you too, an opportunity to do what you enjoy as well, which isn't bad. I think you're just thinking of it in a selfish light. I think you also need to look at it like you're giving that person an opportunity to feel interesting. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
everyone is interesting, but a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people just think that it's whatever, like it's something stupid they did or something, whatever. They're like, no, you have a story to tell that someone out there is going to be affected by, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter.
mhm,
You have something that makes you interesting, makes you unique, and makes you different from the gym that works the 9 to 5.
yeah. I also think that it's sometimes people think that like I'm being sarcastic. Like one time I was talking to just a massage therapist, and I was like, wow, you know what? I actually don't really know a lot about what a massage therapist does besides the massaging part. Like I have no idea what else they do when I leave the room or come in after I come in the room. I want to know. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And she never came on.
I think the fact, like, I mean, I've had people say, like, I don't think I'm fit for your show. I don't think it's the right show for me. I'm like, it's the right show for everyone. My
Like, bro, you're swollen your heart. Come on in.
Like, yeah, my podcast it can be an emotional one. It can be, the whole reason I started it was because I had a buddy that was on his roof at 3 o'clock in the morning that called me that I hadn't talked to in freaking 5 years. And he just starts going off about how his life is miserable. It feels like he's controlled and he's about to jump. And then after a 2 hour
Jesus
conversation,
Christ.
he's like, thank you for having your advice, man. It really, really helped me out. And he was on my podcast. And
Yeah.
I tell him, I'm like, look, man, I am throwing through the same shit as you right now, and I feel you. And I want you to know that we all go through the same things, but everyone's too afraid to talk about it. And saying that, I was learning that in that moment. And then eventually he was like, dude, you need to go go therapy or go to like do some therapy sessions with people. And I'm like, okay. So I ended up taking psychology and trying to understand the brain a little bit, which I kind of psychoanalyze a little bit during my podcast when I'm talking to people. I'm like, did you do that because you did this? Or did you because I believe it all impacts through your life when you're a kid.
Dude, you're right. That's
And
why that was another reason why I loved magic so much because you actually learn a lot about psychology doing it. Like you
yeah,
learn how easy it is to fool people and what it takes to actually convince somebody of something, and you get to learn all that type of shit. I completely understand this. Psychology. It sounds like you're a huge fan of psychology in general.
I'm more a fan of psychology, but I dived out of that realm because then I was like, I got into an argument with some Jehovah's Witnesses, and next thing I know, I wanted to dive into philosophy. Like I'm an ordained minister under the United Church of Bacon. I got it Maryland courthouse approved and everything. It took me forever, but I did it, and that was just the whole object. Like anything that is anything can be taken to an extent that has meaning so deep it affects someone's life,
I actually have a funny
good
story about that.
or bad.
I actually have a funny story about like being an ordained
If
minister.
it's
I'm an
the
ordained
damn
minister.
sandwich story again, I'm going to slap you because that one was like eating a shit sandwich. It was hard
So
to swallow.
okay, so listen. So there I am. I'm in the cafeteria in college, right? And I'm just kidding. So
I legit thought you were gonna tell me the same story. I was about to be like, "Mother, what?"
no, I like to do these things called because I guess I'm an
They're
ordained minister through the
bits.
Church of Life,
They're
and I like
bits.
to do these things called surprise marriages. And so what you do is you hang out in like a public place, like a park or something, and you wait for like a young couple to walk around, like walk past you, and you kind of follow them a little bit, not in like a stalky way, more of like a comedy way, and you kind of wait when you kind of observe somebody long enough, you kind of learn like if they're like PDA type of people and like when they're gonna kiss. And so right before they kiss, I run up to them and I go, I now pronounce you man and wife. You may now kiss the bride. And they kiss each other and they go, who the fuck are you? And I go, enjoy the tax breaks, motherfucker. And you run away like Zoidberg. Whoop, 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 whoop.
You know what the funny thing is? I do the same thing you just did, and that's called writing a bit.
What is it?
If everything you just described, if you said that exact line to a story or animator or a writer, they're going to draw it up and cartoon it, and that would have been a TV show scene from Family Guy right there.
I
That's the
would love
same
that.
thing. That's the same thing Seth MacFarlane does. They literally just he just sits in a room, starts sprouting off random shit, just like you just said, like where you're like, not like a weird way, but a creepy way, like comedic style, like tiptoes. Like I pictured like the Shaggy tiptoe from Scooby Doo, like
Mhm.
that style.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
start saying that, you're already projecting into these animators' heads, and then they draw it up, and next thing you know, it's a 2-minute scene in Family Guy.
You're right.
That's what Seth MacFarlane does, which is, I think, what people like with creativity, where me and yours are kind of similar. I mean, very similar. And I think that happens to do with just how quick our brains is thinking. Now, let me make a, I guess, a judgment here.
Mhm.
You think so many things at once that it's hard to keep track of everything. Like if you said it, it's gone. You can't really remember it a couple of minutes later. Like
Yes.
it's like a flowing river, like like what Alex Jones was saying. Like there's so many things to be focused in on at once. Like it's like a flowing river. It's too much information. That's what it is for you. Like constantly, your brain's just click, 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 going into new things, thinking of new stuff, thinking of things that might be funnier, funnier, funnier.
Mhm.
That's how it is for me.
Yeah, that's why what I do to like help manage that is I write down everything.
You need to have a
Everything gets
diary
written
for
down.
sure.
Oh, absolutely. The real challenge is referencing back to that because that flow of ideas keeps going and keeps going. That having to stop that for a second and go, okay, but I have to develop an idea for a second, like an idea that I've already written down. That's the real challenge.
What's weird is that the fact that this research that ADHD people that experience that have a higher sense of creativity.
Oh yeah, I think it's a dopamine deficiency.
I wouldn't
So
say it's a dopamine deficiency at all. I don't think it's a lackluster of happiness. I think it's more that your brain's creativity is so close to, I guess, the malfunctioning or coordinated system with your brain's just impairment of trying to listen. Like you're
yeah,
sitting there, you can't sit in a scenario and listen to a boring ass speech or listen to a teacher say anything that is not of importance to you. You feel like you're wasting time, or you need to look out the window and you're constantly daydreaming and thinking of other things, like a movie that's constantly playing inside your head. You sometimes even have them when you're talking to people. Like you'll just be talking, like your mom be talking to you, like, yeah, and you'll be having a full on conversation with them, and then you'll actually hop back into the conversation, like, what the fuck did I just agree to?
yeah, yeah. It's because you're already bored of the conversation. Your mind is you got to have something else.
Your attention span's too damn quick, dude. And
Yeah,
it's getting worse and worse with people every single day. But I think ours is weird because we're born with it, so we learn how to still develop it with our creativity, where our mind's progressing. A lot of people nowadays are just becoming on autopilot, and also like their attention span's so quick that it's
yeah.
just because of technology and everything. Like I love technology. I think it's awesome. I don't think that the way we're taking it is the best road, though. I think there should be some more innovative stuff we should be doing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I think that stuff will come in time, and we can either agree to help that, or we can let somebody else take care of that, and just try to manage it for ourselves. I think managing tools and coping mechanisms are the best thing.
So what is your true, if I actually had to ask for a legit answer, what is your true end goal with life? Do you just want to be happy, or do you just want to you want to be a millionaire? What do you want to be? Tell me,
I
Bruno
think.
Mars.
I mean, who doesn't want to be Bruno Mars, right?
I don't know what he is, but he is kind of handsome.
Oh my God, he's so handsome, and he's just like fucking talented. He
I'd
can
rather
sing,
just be Jason Momoa, to be
dance.
100% honest with you.
What is it?
Jason Momoa, I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, of course. The Jason Momoa is like the fact that me and him are the same species pisses me off. To think that,
But
like,
you're not. He's Aquaman.
yeah, like I can't believe that. Like think about what the actual similarities between like us and Jason Momoa is. It's like fuck you.
Well, it's made pretty relevant with that one picture of him on vacation that he got a lot of flack for having a dad bod.
He ain't got no dad bod. If he's got a
Nah,
dad
dude,
bod,
he had a dad bod, yo, in this picture, and he literally he actually I give him so much props for this because I actually follow like realbodybuilders.com, like the ones that show like this. I have a six pack. It doesn't stay like that 24/7, bro. You drink any bit of liquid, you get any bit of whatever, it's gone. It's those people that put up those pictures don't have it 24/7. They're literally dehydrated. They get to that point after either where they just worked out, but they eat something, they get bloated, it goes away. Especially if you eat
yeah,
salads a lot like I do. I don't keep a six pack 24/7. I'll have it like rarely, and then I'll have it like I can if I don't drink anything or eat anything for hours, then if I'm walking around, I have a six pack. Especially after I
yeah.
just took a giant shit. But you also have to look at Jason Momoa was on a birthday trip, like a weekend with his kids. He was drinking beer and eating cake. They put up a picture, had a full-on dad bod, no six-pack. He literally came out and said, I had to prep for that six-pack in that movie. I do not
Yeah.
keep that year-round. Okay, that is, and I commend him
Too
for
much
doing
work.
that because he got so much flack. He's like, I'm going to eat cake with my kids on my birthday weekend. I'm going to drink beer and enjoy myself while I'm in Hawaii. I'm going to do these things. I only did that for the film. I trained really hard 6 months in preparation for that, and then when I got off the film, I ended up eating food again because you starve yourself and you train so hard to get to that point. You can't do it forever. Trust me, I've been going to the gym every single day for 7 years now, okay? I have not missed a single day. I promise you, I have not. The owner
You
of my
told me
gym
about
is like,
this.
you have gone every day. And the reason why is I suffered from being bullied in school. I took that with me to the point where if I don't go to the gym, I'm not there's something wrong. I have to go. There is no don't, there is only do, which I tell people. Don't tell me persistence and drive is not real or that you lack it. We all have it. If I can turn it into that, and sometimes I don't even enjoy doing it, but it's a stress release. It's like checking your phone in the morning. I don't feel complete without it.
Yeah.
But
So I'm taking a look at the picture right now, and the Jason Momoa picture that people are giving him flack for. I don't see anything wrong with this man. He looks amazing.
because he has a normal body, but
That's a normal fucking body.
society standards of what you should be based on billboards and other expectations.
I don't even know
Man,
what dad bod is supposed to mean anymore. If people say this is a dad bod, because like even without like a crisp six pack, he still looks in great shape. People need to fucking relax.
I think it's the fact that we're putting ridiculously high standards and roofs you have to hit, like limits that you have to have standards. Once you start doing that on anything, you're immediately taking all the enjoyment out of anything.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying a little earlier. That like if you're going to judge somebody for their way of living that isn't hurting anybody, that says more about you than it does them.
Well, you can't judge a book by its cover either.
That's very true.
Even if the cover says pudding in parentheses, I still got to read it. I still got to get down to that last page. I want to see that page and that book turn out, whether it's you choose to let it be a boring, nothingless waste of pages towards the end. That's how you created your book, though. But I'm hoping you have the sense of creativity and passion to go off the paper a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Real talk. If you could write a book, what would you write about?
fucking what are you reading right now? That's what I would title it.
Oh, okay. Introspective. I like it.
You open it up and it's like, what do you want to read? Okay, go read it. Like, the fuck? Like, I don't know. I have to just tell people, like, what do you want to do? Go do it. I don't have anything I really want to write about besides like ancient history, I guess. I like writing about like Greek gods and stuff. I could create a pretty good story doing that. But like at
That'd
the
be cool.
same time, like find what you want to do. Like you all have a need and wantness for something, but then you choose to let your opinions be justified by others that you see throughout your everyday life and experience. You have to make more experiences to be able to make true justifications of yourself. You know, I can't knock religion because I've never experienced it. I can understand where people have a belief, but I can't, so I don't follow it. Like, there you go. You know, I'm not going to change anybody's way of thinking because I don't believe in a certain thing. I'm just going to let them be, let them do their thing, and stay in my own path. Stay what I feel is focused more towards my moral right.
Yeet.
I'm a deep innovator, sir.
Yeah, I can tell.
They call me introspection.
Introspection Unlimited.
Introspection inflection man.
Yeah, that should be the name of your company.
What
Now you have the name. Picking a name's the hardest thing. Just keep that in your back pocket for when you need it.
That's a lie. Picking names are not hard. just hit random generator words in my head, and next thing I know, my name is Duck Fart McThird.
Yeah, Launchpad McQuack.
Launchpad McQuack. Platform for production. I think it's the whole fact, man. Like, you have creativity. I think just a lot of people lack it, only because they choose to push it into the deep, dark corner of the world like a greedy little monster.
They're scared of it.
It's creativity. Don't let it show because they'll judge you. They'll think you're different than society's forms. You know, Bill Cosby had creativity,
Yeah.
getting the women into bed. He also was a freak because apparently he liked people. He would pay people to sit and watch him eat curry, says Joe Rogan. Which,
Yeah, I heard about that also from Joe Rogan. Oh, it's like shit like that. You wonder if it's true, but at the same time, like they're so famous, it almost has to be true, right?
I chalk it up to Tom Segura's joke where he talks about how everyone is a freak. Everyone has a deep little secret they don't want to get out. Like everyone has dirty laundry. I like, like that's
That's true.
Jim.
That's
Jim
true.
doesn't have a sexual kink. Jim works 9 to 5. Well, let me tell you, Jim likes to be choked, likes to be naked, lit on fire with a belt wrapped in his mouth. Jim's a fucking freak, but you don't know that because Jim works to 9 to 5 and dresses a certain way, and you would never think Jim was like that way. Well, let me tell you, people are freaks, but that's what makes us awesome, and that what makes us different and unique.
Yeah, that would be a cool show to like have people on, like to just interview them about that deep dark secret.
I just want to know why people are eating toilet paper.
Fiber.
You ever seen that though?
No, what's that? I mean,
So
I guess I can imagine it.
My Strange Addictions.
Oh, that's great.
The lady.
That's where I learned about the balloon thing.
Toilet paper, like just sitting there, like one sheet at a time, just
Fucking
like.
up some toilet paper.
But she had her pinky up and all, and was just fucking like eating it. I'm like, what the hell? Like that's not, I wonder how sustainable that is.
I mean, you get rolls of like packs of 24.
Packs of 48, bro.
Yeah. The
But
arbitrary number system that the toilet paper roll
But
industry
she
has
doesn't eat
come
napkins. She only eats toilet paper.
to. she has standards.
She had
Robbie.
a freaking limit. Now, I don't want that poor grub shit. That's peasant food. I want the rich, expensive entrepreneurial food of royalty serving class A.
Listen, you give me bounty or you get the fuck out of my face.
What about Charmin, the bears, though?
Oh yeah. I'm getting to that point in my life that I'm afraid I'm getting too old because I actually like look at what type of toilet paper I need to buy. And I'm like, you know what? I can splurge. I got a nice job. I can buy the nicer stuff.
Let me tell you,
I'm so scared.
I will not use Charmin.
That's your. What do you got against Charmin?
Too fucking soft.
We're talking about toilet paper now. This is an incredible episode we're making.
It's too soft.
It's too soft.
I feel like
it might let you down one day.
The same person that buys Charmin toilet paper is the same person that probably fucking wants their sheets changed every single night. Fucking buys new shirts, like buys a shirt, wears it once, and throws it out. Buys a new one.
I feel like you have an experience. Like what happened between
you
and
that fuck you money. I see it as arrogant, and I will not buy Charmin.
It's too nice. Have a limit.
I like the roughness of paper sometimes. I like knowing that it fucking hurts, and it's not because I just annihilated my insides, but at the same time, it's getting the dirt that I know I don't have to take a shower afterwards.
Yeah, it gets that extra grit.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's the whole point. I think toilet paper.
Save off a layer of skin back there. You got to make sure that shit's clean.
Toilet paper is always. But see, I see Charmin as being an arrogant person with a lot of fuck you money. But I see a Dubé as like an innovator.
Dubé. You know, I was thinking about getting one of those Dubés, but then like I used one for the first time, and it was culture shock. So I gotta like wait another 6 months so I can forget that, and then come back to it.
I was going to buy one off Amazon. It was like 2:00. Actually, my buddy gave me the best idea that I suggest you do, because I'm guessing you probably do the same shit. Like rarely getting sleep, but at 2:00 in the morning, you're on your phone, fucking laying in bed, just looking at Amazon, just doing dumb shit until you fall back asleep.
Oh, yeah. I used to do that all the time.
Let me tell you something. Keep your bank card in your car, because you will end up being like me, having everything in your cart where it's like, I'm going to buy a freaking light for my toilet so I can pee in the dark because it glows up, and it also shoots water up my crack. I started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, put it in cart, go to checkout. Oh, please put in your card ID and your information. Shit, it's in my car. Man, I'll save it for the morning. Then I wake up in the morning like, what the fuck was I gonna buy? Like, what is this 50,000 pounds of beef jerky? Like I must have thought the world was coming to an end or something from something. Like, I think that's the safest bet for anybody. Just keep your bank card away from you or locked away or something to where you actually have to get up from your lazy coma and try and get all the information to be able to buy your product.
That's a good point. But you should buy a Dubé, though. You should get one. It sounds like you've already warmed up to the idea.
I'm that and a warming toilet. Actually, I replaced my toilet seat with a wood one.
Fancy.
I don't know why.
That's some bougie shit right there.
I like it.
A
It's just-
duvet and a wooden toilet seat.
it's
Dang,
not-
you have
but it's not
you have a
actual
girl over,
wood.
and she's gonna be like, "God damn, I didn't realize that I walked into the Pope's house."
It's not actual wood though. It's
I
like
won't tell anybody.
still glossed, so you don't get a splinter in your ass. But you sitting there like, this toilet has character. It knows that there's going to experience a burly woodsman like shit.
You know what?
It's-
You asked me like what I want to achieve, like what's my end goal. I would get a golden toilet seat.
You got to dress
that
for
would sell the-
success, bruh.
Yeah, shit for the job that you want.
My ass only deserves the finest of bathroom essentials.
You know, I think everybody's ass does. I think we need to treat ourselves a little bit more.
I think the only thing relevant out of people taking anything we're saying right now is the fact that this is what happens when you get two guys who have ADHD in a room or just their thoughts together. That just goes anywhere.
Just
I
spins out
mean,
of control
It's
like a
like
drunk pilot.
it's like the broken paper towel dispenser. Like you just swipe once and just sheets are coming out. You don't know how to stop it. You're shoving them in the trash can. You're throwing them over the stall. You're freaking just walking away. Then the little old lady comes in that's like 79 years old. And she's like, I am not cleaning this shit up.
It's total anarchy.
It's too much. The people are just nasty.
You're right. I think if there's any takeaway here, I think that's it. Is that when you get two people like this together, it's just spinning out of control. There's no order to this.
It shows in a world of kind of where everyone sees it as falling apart or just becoming like crooked and corrupt. There's always a optimistic light to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to focus on it because I think a lot of time people lose the aspect. Like if you start speeding, are you seeing it as like I'm a lawbreaker? Or are you seeing it as like why do we have laws in the first place? That's a guy created something and now we all follow that.
You got to question that type of stuff all the time.
I think if you start questioning more about life, it scares the government, but at the same time, it makes life a little bit like adding a spice to it. Like when you start adding cumin to things, you realize it tastes exactly like Taco Bell, and then you find out the Taco Bell meat is actually just cooked with cumin, so that's why you crave Taco Bell.
Ah,
Yeah, I found that out after eating salads for like years and years and years every single day. You start spicing up, like you enhance your spice cabinet, basically, like
yeah.
paprika, all these different types of fancy spices. And
That
then I
adobo.
found out there's cumin. Bruh. I'm like,
Bruh.
this tastes like fucking Taco Bell. Like, I have no craving for Taco Bell anymore.
Yeah. Do you ever put a GMO into anything? Do you use GMO?
I think everything has GMO in it.
Yeah, but you can actually buy it.
I bought a 5-pound apple from Harris Teeter. So you can't tell me GMOs are not infused in this apple. It said organic on it. I'm like, that's horseshit. This
am I
apple
thinking
is injected with bull testosterone, sir.
Wait, maybe GMO. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. I'm talking about the spice, like the actual like it's the flavor of savory. It's that stuff that's in Chinese food. Fuck, I'm thinking of something else. I can like
I'll
see my
say
spice
it's
cabinet.
definitely not GMO because GMO is that artificial genetic mutated organics, which is weird. A lot of people think if you're shopping organic, you're actually buying GMO food. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I'm not really. I stayed away from the
85%
organic thing.
of the organic foods you buy, even though they're $4 more than the average one, they're actually sometimes filled with more GMO foods because they're meant to grow bigger, healthier, and fuller and taste a little bit better.
I'm down with it. I'm not really get down with the organic food stuff. I've just stayed away from it.
I think GMOs are good and bad, but I think that's like everything. Everything is good and bad. I think if people start getting sick from putting in pesticides and stuff into food, then it's bad. But also making food grow somewhere it's not supposed to be growing or in a place like that is experiencing like high starvation levels because nothing can grow there, then it's a benefit because you're able to create food in a place that isn't having any.
I can see that.
I like to take the ins and outs. I'm like a Laffy Taffy joke. Like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what this shit's called.
I don't.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the name from it.
Oh my god, it's gonna kill me. All right, doesn't matter.
Ginseng?
Not ginseng. It's maybe it is ginseng. I don't. I'm
Ginseng
frustrated
is a
now.
freaking
We have to move on. We have to move on. I can't live like this anymore, Robbie.
That's what everyone says, but then they still live and shovel the same shit every single day,
Oh, story of my life, my dude.
right? Tell me about what's going on in yours. What do you want to change? What do you want to pursue?
So my whole thing right now is this podcast that I'm on, or that I do, with my great co-host, the always amazing Morgan Miller, the Maximum Mediocrity podcast, where we interview people that aren't famous but should be. Where I just love finding interesting people, and I love to bring them on, and I bring them on the show, and we talk with them, we drink with them, kind of loosen them up a little bit, and we love to laugh with them because the world is not as scary as you think. We're more similar than we like to believe. And I think the only way to show that is through example. So that is where I'm obsessed with right now. That's my big thing.
You only focus on interesting people?
No, well, everybody's interesting. You just have to find it.
Said you focused on interesting people. So that means you think that all people aren't interesting. So there are that selected few that are boring as fuck.
Yes. There are boring people. There are. I like to think that everybody has something interesting about them, and I like to try to pull that out, but there's just some people that don't want to embrace that, and that is upsetting.
Have you ever had somebody on your podcast that was like that, like a wet towel that just seemed like they're bland, like cornflakes?
Well, I'll say this. I appreciate everybody that takes time to come on my show, and I wouldn't knock somebody that has graciously given their time to show up. There have been instances where there wasn't that initial connection when we started, and it took a lot to get there. So that was more or less just, I take blame for that because me as an interviewer.
Slow. I don't see myself as an interviewer. I guess that might be something where we differ. I see myself as more as a person asking freaking questions in a way we would in a conversation. Like I'm going to ask the same shit I'm talking to you about right now is what I would say to a normal person that I just meet on the street. Like, what do you wipe your ass with, sir? Like, I don't know. You ever just talk to the guy in the toilet paper aisle and be like, yeah, I wouldn't buy that. Like, why?
I will give you $5 if you do that and record it. Like, if you have a video of you walking up to somebody and say, "Sir, what type of toilet paper do you use when you're in the aisle?" And if you send that to me, I will give you $5.
I will just ask my buddy to send you all the Snapchat videos he takes of me in the store, just doing random dumb shit. But I'm like, I don't even consider it dumb stuff. I consider it just me being me. I do the stupidest things, dude. I randomly just walk into there's one guy I torment because he was a dick to me. He used to work at my work. Now he works at Walmart, and he stocks the shelves like 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm going grocery shopping. And I just freaking walk past him, and I see him put something up on the shelf. I grab it, throw it in my cart, and then when I get to the end of the aisle, I place it there. And just walk all the way down and grab it. He was such a jerk, but I was like, this is how I'm going to passively aggressively.
You just got to fuck with him forever at this Walmart.
And like he goes to like stock something up, and I'll be right in the way, just like staring at everything. And he'd be like sitting there waiting, and I'm just sitting there knowing he's watching me. I'm just like, I'm gonna take some sweet ass time picking out what I want to eat, very slowly and very cautiously. I will choose what mustard sounds better, the spicy or the sweet.
You just take up his time.
Then
I bet he does not regret that at all now.
2 hours pass. He goes and grabs a different box to put up, like something down farther down the aisle that's different from where I'm at. And then I'll just walk down there and be like, I have not decided what mustard I wanted, but I'm going to look at other things while I decide in my head in deep, 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 deep consciousness. And he's
damn,
like,
just fucking with this man.
He's like, I just want to kill you, man. I just want to kill you. And I'm just sitting there like, I can sense your sight piercing into the back of my head, but I don't care because I like the torment it's causing you.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I want to see the video of that. But I got to get this toilet paper roll conversation. We got to get that recorded.
Dude, I'll do it to anything. I'll be like, what are you buying? They're like, I'm buying food. And I'm like, why are you buying food? And they're like, I need to eat to survive. And I'm just like, why do you need to survive? Because it's something we've been doing for so many years now. I think I'm comfortable with it. And I'm like, but have you ever tried death? No.
But have you ever tried cumin?
I have tried cumin. It's not cumin.
Cumin or cumin?
It's cumin. It's not cumin. Do you remember Drake and Josh when the one thing the dad was allergic to? That's cumin, and that's the Taco Bell spice.
That's not how it's spelled.
That's how it's spelled.
It's spelled cumin.
It's not
Phonetically. If you were to read it kinetically, there's no Q in there.
If you
Finally,
spell,
here's the thing. Q has an opportunity to finally make a difference in this world.
if you spell cumin the same way in a text that a hipster would send to his friend, he would think it said cumin. So I don't want to hear shit.
But are you coming?
You can take so many words and then say it a different way, and it could still be right. The fact that you say Google, how do you know it's Google?
Because phonetically, it's Google.
But it could be goggle.
No, two O's next to each other means ooh.
You don't know that. Have you ever seen the Romanian language? They have a smiley face over one of their letters, or they have a frowny face, which is just the way you would pronounce it. So if you see it over an O, it'd be like you have to go in the like upwards area, like you're like you have to go like that. And then if it's in a lower thing, you have to go like down, like low, like it sounds like a freaking Mortal Kombat fighting thing. And I'm sitting there trying to learn that, and I'm like, whoa, I don't know how
to play Mortal Kombat around Romanian. They're confused as hell.
Yeah, they think you're just saying a bunch of stuff. And then the fact that the Ukraine language has a letter in it, just like the Bulgarian language, it's a spider.
Oh.
It looks like a spider. My buddy goes by his name's Vili is his nickname, but his Facebook is Benichtivov something like in Bulgarian language. I had to tag him in his video for my podcast. I couldn't get his tag on there because I don't know how to do it. I had to switch my keyboard over to Bulgarian and then type the letters I was looking at. Yeah.
That's good.
But I was like, I need to be authentic. I also tell them, I'm like, how do you pronounce your name? They go, my name is Chris. I'm like, but what's your real name? They're like, well, it's Christo. I'm like, okay, well, nice to meet you, Christo. And they go, oh, I see how you are now. I do that at my work. All the kids there, like, we have this one kid, Andrew. His name is.
Tell me about Andrew.
His name is Andrea. Andrew. Damn, it's like Andre. But he likes to go by Andrew because it's easier. Everyone gives him like nicknames and shit. I don't like it. I like to call them their real name, and I like to kind of learn a little bit about them. Everyone calls him weird and thinks he's just mentally like challenged. He's kind of slow. I'm like, he's not slow. He's very open, and he's a very honest and true person. And they go, how do you?
He's just right lane.
They go, how do you know? Dude, he offered me a sip from his soda. That dude's fucking weird. I'm like, no. And then I sat next to him and I go, so Andrew, how's it going, man? He goes, it's good. He goes, you want some coffee? And he hands me his coffee that he was drinking from. And he goes, you want some? And I'm like, nah, man. I'm like, I'm letting you know people think that's weird, but I know why you do it. And he goes, why? I'm like, I guess you come from somewhere that has nothing. You grew up in a life where you shared things. You probably have multiple siblings and you experience what it's like to be constantly sharing something. So when you do have something, you're going to be the first person willing to offer it to somebody else. He goes, how did you know that? I'm like, cause I also took psychology and I learned that has to pull something from your past, which I'm a big believer of. So I understand you. Like, I don't think you're weird at all. I think you're a very open-minded individual that cares about all people, but you understand what it's like to have nothing. So you're more willing to share. Why is it that places that experience nothing or have nothing are more willing to share the only thing they have? Because they understand what it means to be a person and to understand what it is like to truly have nothing. So when they do have something, they are more willing to share it.
Makes sense to me.
Deep motivation, man. I'm telling you, you see that in people, you change your whole perspective on like what the hell people are doing with their lives nowadays. You definitely want to go freaking experience the whole world, man. You want to go out there with a little recorder and just travel. Like, yo, tell me your story. Let's figure out some shit. Let's bring a revelation into my life, as well as, you know, just learning for an hour or so about each other, because it doesn't take much. And the fact it's a small part of our day and we feel so much better after it's over with.
Definitely. I actually hear that traveling can really humble you.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of people do it, like Ari Shafir and all those people that just shut off their phones and go out and travel, because that's what, that's what it is. You're experiencing other things you're not open to, or you were closed off to before, and literally opening up your mind. That's why I say you have to be the optimistic person. You have to open your mind to new things.
Yeah, absolutely. I respect those people that can like just shut off all those like modern connections and just go travel like that. Those people, I'm envious of them.
I just shut my phone off when I go in the grocery store, because if I swear, like if I brought that in there, I would be so much more paying attention to that than what I'm supposed to be buying for myself.
Yeah.
It's a giant release too. If you're just not on your phone for like an hour, just like shut it off in the corner. Like when I'm talking to you in this podcast, my phone is shut off and across the floor. I make sure that when I talk podcast with people like at my house or something, it's phones off, bro. Hand me it. You don't need to be checking Snapchat 30 million times. Let's get in a connected conversation like we would if it was 2 a.m. at a bonfire. Like we're
Yeah.
talking, we don't know exactly what's said, but there's some shit that happened where I'm going to remember it for the rest of my life and be there whenever you need me. Like those types of moments, you get connected with people. I think that's the thing people need to understand, is getting connected, not to technology, but to the real person.
Yeah. No, I understand completely. I actually today, like I love Reddit. And today I said to myself that I'm going to not be on Reddit today. I woke up, I looked at my phone, I opened Reddit up, and I read like a news article or something that just like made me sad and upset. I was like, God damn it. I just woke up and I'm already pissed off. I'm done with this. And I haven't looked at Reddit for today. And already I'm starting to see a difference. Like I got more stuff done today. I did more research, like actually was more productive today because I wasn't just sitting there browsing and make myself angry and upset. It's a way to do it. I think shutting more social media stuff down is, I think that's going to be a new trend. I could really see our generation or the next generation really going in that direction. I want
Hashtag
to be less connected.
hashtag disconnect.
Yep. Hashtag disconnect. Hashtag save Jamie. I'm all about it.
Yeah, hashtag live a free life by keep moving forward, and look at your phone as a greedy little bastard in your pocket that wants to steal all your time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, you know what I say to that? Be the optimistic man. It was awesome having you on, dude, for real. That was fun. I
Yeah, thank you, Robert, for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I had a really good time.
it's one of those conversations where you're like, I don't think anything intelligible was said, but we said some shit, or someone's gonna be like, damn, that made some sense.
Things were said. Things were said. I
Things
think
were
that's the
said,
best we could say.
places were argued with, and toilet paper was talk shit on. Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I said. Toilet paper was delivering, or was getting another side of the shit.
Yeah,
And
the important stuff.
yeah, the words. Well, thank you so much, David, for being on my podcast. I want to give you a minute here just to be able to say where people can find you at, to be able to look at your great content as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I am part of the Maximum Mediocrity podcast. You can find us at MaximumMediocrity.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Come check us out. Give us a listen. Be part of the family.
Give it a listen, give it a like, and hear some stories from other people that are doing. Literally, it's so weird that we're so close to each other, literally a state away, and we're doing the exact same thing with our podcast that only 2% of the 750,000 are doing. It's what I call ADHD innovators.
Yeah, ADHD innovators. I like that. Well, I only have one thing left to say. You know what that is?
Keep moving forward.
Remember, life is like a sandwich.
Unless it tastes like shit. Then you got to spit it out or add some cumin on that bitch. Thanks again, everybody,
thanks, man,
for listening to Out of the Blank podcast. It was awesome having you. And stay tuned for our next episode.